OnlySay. Today we are going to be installing a rotating screen mount for my 2021 Tesla Model Y. So in the package, these are the tools that come included. So these are all the tools that you'll need to do the install. But I do have my own tool set, so I decided to use that. The only thing I did use from them was this hook in here, so I can go into the back panel and pull that down. So yeah, I use this. We need a 6mm hex key here, or hex head in this case. These two star patterns, T20 and T25, are the ones that we used, or 10mm socket. And then a screwdriver. Yeah, the screwdriver was a Phillips head 2. And then I like to use my automatic one with the extension, and just made the job a lot easier for me. But you're able to use the manual tools as well. And a towel just to lay the screen down, and to not scratch the screen. I mean, I do have a screen protector on, but still good to protect the screen protector as well with a towel if you can. So this is the rotating screen bracket that we're going to be, or mounts that we're going to be installing here. So this one, we can rotate it 30 degrees horizontally, or left to right, and 15 degrees vertically, up and down. So yeah, let's see what the hype is about. So we'll unbox this, see what we get inside of here. Alright, we got some instructions. Those in the back. So let's take a look at this. So it looks like we have a bracket, the bracket for the screen, and yep, looks like we got some hardware. So it looks like we only need the tools that are included in here, but we'll see. All right, well, let's see. Let's start with the instructions and see what we got here. Okay. All right. All right, so I'm gonna try to follow the manual here, and there's also a lot of videos on how to do this as well, so we can use those as guides. So I think the first thing that we're going to want to do is, since we're going to be removing the screen and touching the screen a lot, we want to turn the screen off, or at least turn the display off. So go into your vehicle settings, go to display, and go to screen clean mode. Let's go. All right, so now let's look at the first step. Let's just look at what we have. So it says use a hook tool to snap and remove the inlet under the display and pull out the small trim panel. So that trim panel is actually the temperature sensor. Well, that covers the temperature sensor cover. So once we pull that out, there's going to be a connector, and then we just unconnect that. All right, so it looks like in the kit they have that hook tool. So we're gonna go ahead, come in here. You can pull this in here like this, pull it to the side, and just pull down. Nice. Step 1 done. Step 2, unplug the temperature sensor, plug on the small trim. So that would be that connector right there. Let's go ahead and remove that. So now, using a small screwdriver or something that has a relatively small point. To remove the temperature sensor, we're going to push this into here and then pop it out. Here we go. Okay, step 2 done. All right, and now step 3, use the tool provided by T5 to remove the 2 screws that fixing the large screen. So if we come and look under here, looks like these 2 screws right here. That one and the one on the opposite side. If we look in our toolkit, how about we just take all this out? Looks like we'll be using this to remove those screws. There you go. And then it comes out. Or if you have a toolkit, this is the same thing as a 10mm bolt. So you can just use a 10mm ratchet if you have one available to you. Take this one out. And then this one comes out. Okay, that was step 3. Let's see. Step 4, pull the display forward. When pulling the display forward, I know that you have to use some force to get it off, but you don't want to pull way too far. You kind of want to lean your elbow on something and just have good leverage so that you can have a controlled pull. And we're gonna go ahead and there we go. Okay, now let's grab our towel and put it down here. All right, so that's why we have our towel, so that we can rest this here and it won't scratch the screen. I mean, we have a screen protector on there anyways, but you know, we don't want any issues. Step 5, it says use the T25 box wrench equipped with the T5 to remove the bracket trim cover behind the display screen. So this would be these screws right here. So this would be that screw right there and that screw right there. And that looks like that star pattern is well, it's what they say, it's a T25. So must be one of these. Or from our toolkit, if you have a T25. And I brought a handy dandy pictures in reverse. Okay, so now step 6, it says after entering the safety mode and turning off the power supply, unplug the socket of the screen. All right, so now let's pop the screen up so that we can go into safety mode and turn it off. All right, so it says here hold to exit from the cleaning mode. So let's go ahead and do that. Cool. So now we're back here. So now we have to go to safety. So go ahead and go to safety. Let's see if I can do this in one hand. Safety. And then scroll all the way down. And then go to power off. It says, are you sure you want to power off? Place foot on brake to turn power back on. Okay, so let's power off. Cool. So let's go back down again. Make sure you don't put any tension on cables. Looks like it has a safety one as well. So we're gonna pull this forward and snap this off. So look, so if you see I have an opening here, we can kind of like pry that open like this from both ends. So you kind of push it from both ends and then it comes off. Nice. Cool, so now to remove this, we're gonna push this tab in. So taking this little screwdriver, we can push this tab in, and then we gotta pull it out. There you go. So push this in, and then pull it out. Nice. Then the connector comes off. Now step 7 says fix the new bracket on the original location with the 2 screws that was removed from the original vehicle. Tighten it after the bracket is centered and left and right heights are the same. So we are talking about these screws right here, these 10 millimeter bolts. And if we look at our kit, this is the bracket. So the way that this is going to fit into here is that if we look here, there's like slots in here. So it's going to be orientated in this way. And then we're going to slide this into this slot here. And then the same thing for the opposite slide. Now you're going to have to work it a little bit. And as you can tell, these here, it has a little bit of movement here. Same thing here. So you can go ahead and put one side in. Okay. So once they are lined up, you can go ahead and put these screws back in here. Alright. We could put our other screw through here. Again, you may have to work this a little bit to make sure these holes align. Let me make sure you can see what I'm talking about. So these holes right here need to line up. Make sure you have some best clearance. Just make sure that we can pass this through neatly like this. So now we can grab our 10 millimeter and tighten this up. Cool. So now once we have that nicely tightened up, yeah, that's level. Okay. So now step number 8, it says put the new bracket decoration shell and lock the screws. Installation skills, turn the beam under the bracket to the left to fit the shell. Okay, so now we take the bracket here that was inside the kit, right? And then this is what they mean by turn the beam to the left. So you want to grab this and you want to make sure that this is tilted to the left, viewing it as you're viewing it now. So go ahead and move that to the left like that, right? Make sure this left side is pushed all the way back as far as it can go. Now you're gonna snake this through because this will go like this, and these 2 holes right here will line up with these 2 holes here, which you'll then use these 2 screws that were included in the kit right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna grab this, snake these 2 wires through, and then snake that piece through, and then you go go over the top here, and it starts to push in, making sure that get this other cable as well. There we go. And they have like, it has like little clips on the side here. It needs to go on the inside trim here. And then these should lock in. Okay, so now you can see that these holes line up. Go straight through. Same thing over here. Now we go ahead and grab our screws. Put them in there with the screwdriver. So now we're going to take the other cover that we have here in the kit. So now this one is going to go on the back of the screen as such, right? I'm going to put it in the back of the screen like this. And then we're going to mount it using the original screws that came out of here, which were these T25 screws. It might be easier to, at this time, connect this connector back first. Snake this through here, and then connect this back. Cool. Alright, now we're going to put the guard back. Remember that this side goes down, so this longer side should protrude down, right? And it goes like this. So the way we're going to do this, the easiest way is just, we can pry this open a little bit to slide this cable through, and then we'll just slide it down. So let's go ahead and, okay, that was easy enough. Now we just slide it down. There we go. Cool, so now once we have that, we can then slide the cover back down. It's in there nicely. Just like that. And now we can go ahead and put those screws in here on the left and right side. Put the other screw through. Not too tight, it's just holding a plastic piece, so we don't want to over tighten it on a plastic part. That's good. That was number 9. Put the T decoration shell on the original vehicle screen, insert the harness, and fix the original screws with the tools provided. Now number 10, it says install the original screen on the bracket beam, align it with the screws hole, and lock 2 screws. Okay, so for this step is, these are the screws that we're going to use here. These are bolts. And so we're going to grab the screen, lift it up, slide it into this beam here through this slot. And it's kind of hard to see, but there's some holes in there. There's just some through holes. And then from the bottom side, there's holes down here too. So let me go ahead and show you that. See right here, that hole, and this one right here. We're going ahead, slide this in through here. It'll come out of there, right? And then we'll be screwing it in like this, right? And that's how that will be installed. So let's go ahead and do that. And I think it'll be easier, since this does rotate up and down. I think it'd be easiest to lift it up as much as you can. Okay, I think that's already up as much as it can. So go ahead and lift this up. Slide this in. Alright. Cool. So now we're gonna have to come through the bottom and work that screw in. So once you slip the beam into the bracket, now we need to align the holes. So then if you can see, if I push the screen on the top side like this, it'll do a better alignment, right? Yeah, so if you can see, if I move it to the right, it'll misalign a little bit. If I move it to the left, then it'll misalign. So if you do a controlled one, have it right in the middle. That's a little bit too far, just right there. Maybe a little bit more to the left, right? Make sure it stays pushed in. So there you go. And then without touching it, you can see that if you push on the top side, it does like a slight tilt. That's because it's not bolted. And if you want to get the hole aligned, just push it up. So what we're gonna do, so that's how you know that we're inside the middle. So there's a little bit of slack going to the left and right, and a little bit of slack going up and down. So when we want to bolt the screw in, we want to make sure we're in the middle there. So as far as left and right, you can go ahead and do that once, which is what it is now. But as I'm bolting in, I'm going to want to have a slight push up so I can get the screw in there. Take our screw in. Nice. I think I have it right there. Go ahead and use our tools. Cool. I think I'm on a thread. Okay. So now let's make sure that the other hole is in line as well. Cool. So now if we push this forward, we have good alignment. Come here, grab our other screw. Come into the other side. Push it in there. And now push the screen forward just a little bit. And then start to twist the screw on and kind of find the hole. You're gonna probably have to fish around for it a little bit, but you'll eventually find it once it. If you have everything aligned up, especially if you have the other screw already in there, pretty sure this one would be a little bit easier. Okay. So now once you found this one here on the other side of the screw, we can go ahead and start to tighten them down. So this here is a 6mm hex that I can put onto the drill here. Alright, so I'm not going to use the drill to tighten it in, just to drive it in. And then I'll use the provided key tool they have, and then do the final torquing, I guess. Could make sure it's in there tight, not super tight, but just as much as your hand can torque it down. And do the same thing for the other side. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the original cover that has the temperature sensor attached to it that we removed the black cable from. So we're gonna take that, and using a T20 wrench, we're gonna head in to remove the sensor part from the cover, and then we're gonna install it and then we're going to install it on the on another trim that they have provided for us. So grabbing our tool, or grabbing the cover with the sensor on it, that would be this screw there and that screw there. So they said that's a T20, which would be one of these right here. Or from our basic toolkit, you can use this T20 right here. So now I have this T20 head. Okay. And then we can go ahead and remove this screw right here. Okay, so now we can remove the sensor. So here's the original cover, bottom cover, and then here's the temperature sensor, right? Then looking on our instructions, it says plug in the sensor on the small trim and fasten it with a T5 bracket panel, and then the installation is complete. And we have two of them. So in the kit, we have two of these panels. We have this one right here, and we have this one right here. And it says the one with the circle are for Model 3s and Ys from 2019 to 2020. And this one is for Model 3s and Ys from 2021 and to 2023. This car is a 2021, so we're going to be using this one. So it looks like the holes in here are not threaded. So it looks like they're, once you screw these in, they're like self-tapping, right? So what I would do before actually installing it is install the screw and tap it in first. So go ahead and keep it as aligned as possible. And I would do this one manually. So grab this and work that in. Try to keep it aligned as much as you can. Once you got it in there, I guess I can use the drill at this time. Then take it out. Yeah, it's hard to see on the camera, but I can see the taps now. Be careful not to push the screw all the way in, because it starts to protrude on the other side. Now go ahead and grab the sensor. Make sure these tabs are towards the bottom. The connector is towards the left side, and then you kind of slot this into this square here. And it's not going to be perfect, so you go to line this hole here like this, and align this slot there like that. I'm keeping these two aligned. And then you can go ahead and grab your screws and put them in. Cool. I can tighten it all the way down. And do the same thing on the other side. Make sure you don't tighten it too much, because you don't want this piece to be like bowing down, and you know, tighten it too much. There should be a little bit of a gap here because of this foam. And now I guess the very last step is you just plug the sensor. You plug in the connector back into the sensor, and then you slide this into the panel. So let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, so the connector is right here. Now let's make that connection again. Cool. Let's connect it back. So the way we are gonna do this is make sure these tabs are towards the bottom. There's another tab on the top, left and right. So we're gonna slide this into here. So we're gonna push this, well, we're gonna start with this up that way, making sure that the tabs, the top tabs, go in through both sides or go over this piece here, and then it's gonna slide down. So it's gonna be something like this. Okay, both tabs are through, but now I just gotta push this. So now I push those two tabs in and we're good. The install is done. Well, the hardware install is done. This is kind of what the final set looks like. You can kind of see here. Fits pretty well. So one thing that I do notice is that the screen does sit lower, right? I haven't really changed my seating position, and I can actually see the vents here. So that is one thing, it does sit lower. And then if you have this style center console, well, that still works. So this is able to still go up. It'll just stop right there. Right, it'll hit right there, so it won't go completely up. But I can still put my phone there. But yeah, and now I can move this screen to the right or left, right, up, right. There we go. So once I move this up right there, but then when I try to push the screen down, kind of stops there. So I'm gonna have to right. That's the farthest it goes down. You kind of have to move the screen upright or like this and tilt it up so that this can go through. So this does restrict the movement a little bit. Well, not definitely does, right? Honestly, I'll probably just find one position that I like on the screen mount, probably like towards me and up, and then probably use it like that, and then see if I can. Yeah, I think it'll still work. Okay, so I guess the last step is now to get your screen back. So go ahead and press hold and exit. Now something that I did experience when I connected the screen back is that the screen turned back on, but it didn't react to any of my touches. So if your screen doesn't react to any of your touches, you have to reboot your screen. And the way that you do that, yeah, so now to reboot the screen is you want to hold these two scroll wheels in for like 20 seconds, and then the screen will turn black. You'll let it go, and then you'll press them again until you see the Tesla T logo. So let's go ahead and put this in for 20 seconds. So my camera battery died as that happened, but so you can see the Tesla logo T is back on there. So yeah, just hold it in for 20 seconds. The screen will turn black, and then it'll turn back on. So now once your screen is back on, we can see if this moves around, and we got our screen back. Cool. So yeah, this looks pretty neat. Yeah, this looks nice.